All right, welcome to day 25 of the 100K Net Worth Challenge. We are trying to get to 100K by December 20th of this year, and so we are less than 6 months away. Today, for the net worth check-in, we are at $7,700. So we're kind of just like staying stagnant these past few days, but that's just kind of part of the game, right? No paydays and not necessarily, we're really trying not to spend right now either, which is obviously a big part of it, so the net worth doesn't just keep going down. Pretty big day today. There were quite a few things that happened. For some reason, I've just felt like at work, I was like, you know what? We just need to create another product and start offering it. And we need to get it done like within the next week. And I just kind of pushed my boss. We've been talking about it more and got some serious action taken. So today we made some big strides towards that. We recorded a lot of videos for this new course that we're launching. So anyway, that was kind of exciting because I feel like all this manifesting and thinking about the 100K goal is really like pushing me to make things happen and giving me that extra boost. Sometimes I don't have that boost and I'll be like, dang, I get a little like not as hopeful as I should be, but it's just a phase, right? Like as long as I keep my eye on the prize and remember what I'm doing this for, then that's the most important. Speaking of which, why don't I try to remind myself of that? So like, why am I doing this? The 100K net worth challenge. If someone were to ask me that, I would say I'm doing this because I want to have a strong financial base, especially before having kids. So my wife and I are planning on having kids in the next 2 to 3 years. And so if I can get to 100K base, that gives us a really strong foundation to build our family on, to be able to invest in our children and their education and in their talents. Also to be able to travel with them, for my wife and I to be able to travel together. And especially as life gets busier, I feel like that's when it's more important to be able to take time to go do things, And I just feel like building wealth now, older me will thank me down the road. And, I kind of grew up not having the best financial habits. And so I felt like this would be a good challenge for myself to really get to that, 100K net worth. It's something that they talk a lot about in the Rich Habits podcast, and I'm a big fan of that. So that's a big reason why. It's just for my future family and just to be able to travel, do more of what I want, and to push me. There's nothing like growing, right? That's just part of the life experience, and I'm super excited. So if you're wondering where I'm at, because I'm not normally in this cubicle here, I actually just got off work and I changed into my gym clothes. I rode my scooter to work and I'm gonna get back over to the gym right now. It started pouring down, so I stayed an extra hour at work, just been working on stuff. Also, a little update on the house. So yesterday, wow, this is a crazy journey, but I had mentioned that our lender denied us, but we had a backup lender just in case, and so she said that they approved us and that the underwriter said we were good, and so we had to get everything submitted today. So that's kind of exciting. I sure hope that means it's a sure thing. They said we can close now in a week, which is crazy because it's going to be the day before we leave for our family reunion. Oh, what is happening? It's crazy. I'm just glad we're going to get the house because I looked at some other options and started looking at things on Zillow, and I wasn't really finding anything that was totally matching what we wanted to do and would give us the best for our buck. If we rent out half the side of our house and that little shed that we convert into an Airbnb, we're going to be in a good spot where we're not having to pay for rent, and we'll be able to pay back all the expenses we put into these projects within 6 months. So that's really exciting. Hold me accountable to that, and I'll give you updates as we go. It's an exciting time. As far as biggest lesson learned today, I think my biggest lesson learned today was probably how important it is to have confidence and believe in yourself that you're going to achieve your dreams. A lot of life and our experience comes down to what we believe we can accomplish, and that is the purpose of setting goals and setting big goals, so that we stretch our brains and we have to become a bigger and better version of ourselves. And that's what I love about it, because before I don't know if I genuinely believed that I would be able to do some of the things that I've done already. And then also even this goal, it's definitely a stretch goal for me. Part of me was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be stuck in the same patterns and I'm always gonna be living paycheck to paycheck. But no, I'm breaking that pattern and I'm choosing to live a rich life, and that, yes, involves sacrifice now, but it's gonna pay off amazingly later. And a huge part of that is just changing my whole mindset around it. And today, I don't know, something just started clicking. I just started feeling different. Started feeling like I started acting like somebody that's already accomplished those. I was just talking to my boss about real estate and tax strategies, and I said something like, oh yeah, I consider myself a solopreneur. I've got my own little business going, and I'm growing my YouTube, and I'm just, there's a lot of fun projects going on. We're investing in real estate. And I was like, okay, Sam, let's go. And it's become a part of me now, and I've evolved into that persona, hopefully all for the best, right? I purposely did this so that I could provide more for my family, have a more exciting, adventurous future. And while yes, it is stressful during this grind phase and this paycheck to paycheck living and the ups and downs of stock market and real estate journey and learning everything and getting a new job this year and everything, it's gonna be fun to look back on and be like, oh wow, okay, you were definitely in the grind. But I don't know, I feel like a big part of my life is doing stuff for future Sam and just being like, man, you got it. So what are some things that you could be doing for future you? What are some things that they're gonna thank you for doing now? I feel like that's a really important thing to consider. Yes, we need to live in the moment and be grateful, and I'm working on that, sure, but I'm also doing it, and I'm taking time to go do sports and hang with my friends, but also spend time with my wife and just be present there. But also when I'm at work and other times when I'm at home, it is important for me to kind of future cast and be like, okay, what are we working towards and why are we doing this, So I think quote of the day is going to be from Atomic Habits, is you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. And that's kind of puts all of this into perspective too, is like, yes, these goals are important, but there's something about the habits that you build, the systems that you build around them. So I feel like I went from like one thing to the next, but it all is kind of part of this train that moves you forward. So all right, so we're gonna do a question of the day now. Let me pull this up. All right, question of the day is, should I pay off debt first or invest? Great question. I'm just gonna spitfire an answer because I'll also do a full video on this. But it's there's kind of two parts to it, right? Like, you should pay off debt first if you have high interest debt. So what qualifies as high interest debt? If you have anything over 7-8% interest on it, that is high interest debt, and that is debt that you need to pay down immediately. Prioritize that. You want to know why? The rule for it is, a lot of, like, in your investments, they're going to grow at about 8 to 10% a year. And there's this whole saying, like, you cannot out-invest high interest debt. So anything over 7-8% means anything you could be investing normally in, you'd be pretty much like cutting away all of your success there. Because if you're gonna be gaining 8% by investing, over the long term, but your credit card debt is, at 20% or whatever, like, you're literally you're not making any money, right? Or you're just paying more interest back to these banks than you'll be saving for your future self. So it's really important that you pay off credit cards, car loans, if they're high interest debt, or like refinancing it or selling it and getting another car. Just like, do not get stuck in the high interest debt. That's got to be the first priority to get down. Now, if you have student loans or like your home mortgage that has an interest on it, these will usually be beneath that 7%, right? And this is where you can invest instead of paying those off, as like a main priority. Yes, you still are going to be making payments towards them, but you should be investing, as you're making those payments. So it's kind of that two-part answer, right? And I think it's an important one. So hopefully that's a helpful question to hear. And wherever you are on your journey, I just want to encourage you. You're doing great. Just like in the movie The Matrix, know you are, okay? And there's this whole thing, one of the lines that they say as he's starting to like learn everything is like, wow, he's starting to believe. And I remember that kind of hit me because it was like, oh, as he believes in himself and in the Matrix and everything that's happening, then he becomes the best version and is able to like do everything. And I was just like, wow, that's pretty powerful. So that's one of our themes today, is believing in yourself and knowing that you are. So you got this wherever you are. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow.